We settled into life in Helena and began growing our family. While Sherry was pregnant with our fourth child, a son, our fourth son, and our final child, her curiosity about my adoption reached its peak and motivated her to ask my mom about my adoption story. Till that point, I knew nothing. In 15 minutes, Sherry learned more about my life than I had ever known. She shared the details on the way home. I learned that my birth mother was a school teacher. She was married with 2 children at the time of my conception. She had an affair. Upon learning about her transgression, her husband demanded she get rid of the child to reconcile her marriage. In short, it was me or her family. I was mesmerized by the news. I recall joking with Sherry about how much information she was able to receive in such a very short time. In addition, emerging within me were these strong emotions of abandonment, rejection, confusion, sadness, and loneliness. The moment hung in the car between us, my heart dripping with emotion. For most adoptees, there's a story behind the story. Mine was no different. But as with all adoptees, each story is unique to the context of conception, birth, relinquishment, and placement. And each adoptee responds uniquely with their own mix of emotions. I was unplanned and never forgotten. I found inspiration from the Bible in the book of Isaiah, chapter 49, verse 15. Can a mother forget the baby at her breast and have no compassion on the child she has born? Though she may forget, I will not forget you. Upon reading that passage, a still small voice resonated within me. She has never forgotten you. With no breadcrumbs and little detail of my adoption history, I began my search in my birthplace of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Go Steelers. Easy now. In March 2003, I petitioned the Orphans Court of Pennsylvania to open my case file for any releasable identifying information about my adoption. What returned several months later not only changed my story, but my perspective. In summary, my birth mother did have an affair. Her husband was serving in Vietnam. A fellow serviceman and friend of the family stopped by to say goodbye on his way to Vietnam, spent the night, and he is my birth father. Upon discovery of pregnancy, my birth mother crafted a plan for her future and for mine. Amid the challenge of concealing the pregnancy and birth from her 3 children, a husband deployed in Vietnam, family, friends, and her community, she nurtured me to term in September of 1967 and immediately placed me into the care of a foster family while an adoptive family was located. She was not a school teacher. Her husband, family, and friends did not know about me, and as much as I could tell from the information from the Orphans Court, she continued to maintain her anonymity without any consent to reveal her identity to me or others. The clarity reshaped my perspective. She had made an egregious mistake. I was the result of that mistake. And through a difficult season of pregnancy and birth, she somehow navigated 9 stressful, guilt-ridden months to provide me with an opportunity of life. Abortion had yet to be legalized in the U.S. during my gestation in 1967, though Colorado was the first state to liberalize their abortion laws during the same year. Nonetheless, my mind raced at the possibility she considered ways to terminate her mistake to wipe the consequence of infidelity from her life. I likely would never know. The information provided by the Orphans Court did little to guide me toward resolution of my objective to discover my biological roots and reconnect with my birth mother. More importantly, the lack of identifying information failed to quiet the still small voice of the Holy Spirit that though I was unplanned and a mistake, my birth mother had never forgotten about me. The emotions welled up within me, compelling me to search for more to my story. I asked my caseworker for advice about next steps. Specifically, would it be wise, given the circumstances, to request the court to contact her on my behalf? She stated, "Given your mother's resolve to withhold the circumstances of your conception and birth from family and friends, I recommend no further steps to connect with her." In my 12 years as a caseworker, I've never encountered a mother so meticulous to conceal the birth and relinquishment of a child. I felt defeated and powerless. I never spoke to my caseworker again. And yet, the still small voice resonated within me. She has never forgotten about you. Keep going. In February 2004, 1 year after opening my case file with the Orphans Court, I received an anonymous phone call providing me with 3 vital pieces of information: my legal birth name, my birth mother's name, and her husband's name. Needless to say, I hung up the phone motionless, in stunned silence. I finally had a break. I have her name. My mind raced. Feelings of excitement, trepidation, wonder, curiosity, nervousness, and many others welled up within me. With this new info, I began to scour the internet. I found pages of information about her life, her family, her profession. As I read page after page of data, I felt more and more connected to the stranger on the screen. More excitement, more sadness, more wonder, more fear. During one of my searches, I discovered a picture of her. I leaned forward in my chair toward the computer, faintly touching the screen and mouthing these words. "Hello there. I see you. I see you." I was unplanned, never forgotten, and longing for connection. In August of 2006, I sent her an email with the hope of establishing a confidential conversation. I expressed interest in her assistance to learn more about my family of origin without disclosing my true identity. She responded with direction to an online genealogy website with more information about her family. I interpreted that response as affirmation that all correspondence will be held in confidence. I then responded with a detailed summary of my life, sharing 3 pieces of information she would only know: my birth date, my birthplace, and my birth name. Within moments, an email returned with a phone number and a request to contact her. This was it. After years of searching, a fortuitous break, and the leading of a gentle voice within, I picked up the phone and I dialed her number. She answered. "Hello there. I always knew you would find me." I responded, "Hi, Mom." We visited for 30 minutes and vowed to converse again. I was relieved and grateful. I felt accepted and connected amid a swirl of questions. And I cried. Happy tears and some sad. It had been an enduring journey to this point with much uncertainty ahead. We enjoyed many conversations to follow, and within weeks of our first call, she shared about a phone conversation with my birth father, whom she hadn't spoken to in over 30 years. She reported meeting with him in Pittsburgh for the day, and they agreed to submit an invitation to join them in Pittsburgh for a reunion. I was shocked. I accepted on the condition my wife Sherry attend with me. Without hesitation, she said, "Absolutely." In November 2006, Sherry and I were on a flight to Pittsburgh. It had been a little over 3 months.